We are over a year into the Biden presidency now, and still several far-right conspiracy theorists are claiming widespread voter fraud cost former President Trump the presidential election.
Last Monday, Mesa, Colorado County Clerk Tina Peters announced a bid for Secretary of State. Her run comes after months of outspoken opposition to the nation's election process. Peters has publicly promoted unfounded claims of widespread voter fraud in the 2020 election, resulting in the Biden presidency. With her candidacy, she hopes to become the state's top election official using that same voting process. Jena Griswold is Colorado's Secretary of State and the chair of the Democratic Association of Secretaries of State. She joins us now for more on this. Secretary Griswold, welcome. Great to have you with us. You have gone on the record saying Tina Peters is, quote, unfit to be Secretary of State and a danger to Colorado elections. What are your biggest concerns about her candidacy?
Well, first off, thanks for having me. And Clerk Peters is unfit. Not only does she spread disinformation, like you mentioned, she actually was the first person in the nation to compromise voting equipment trying to prove conspiracies. She's currently under criminal investigation. She was arrested 2 weeks ago and even tried to kick a cop. She clapped on stage as election deniers called for me to be hung, and she is a danger to Colorado's elections. As Secretary of State, I'm proud of having record access and record turnout in Colorado, and I'm going to continue that work. And if your viewers want to join me in defeating Tina Peters and stopping a big lie candidate from overseeing the elections, they can join me at jennifercolorado.com.
And we were just watching some footage there of that arrest that you alluded to. Talk to us about your platform then. What is it you're planning to tackle ahead of Election Day?
Well, as Secretary of State, I've added 55% more drop boxes. We expanded voting centers. We increased our security, and Colorado is considered the nation's gold standard for casting a ballot and for election security. And as Secretary of State, I'm going to continue to make sure that every Republican, Democrat, and independent voter in the state of Colorado has access to safe and secure elections. I do think it's worth mentioning that election deniers are running in every swing state where we have a Secretary of State's race. So people who have worked against democracy, worked against the right to vote, are now hoping to administer elections. And across the nation, over 160 statewide Republican candidates who have said 2020 was stolen or espoused the big lie in some way are running to have some type of administration over elections. So American voters are going to have a big job in 2022 to make sure that people who will uphold the right to vote and protect elections remain in these crucial positions across the nation.
Right. So, Secretary Griswold, as you just laid out, Colorado is obviously not the only place where a candidate is running for Secretary of State that is questioned whether or not we had a fair election. So what does this tell you about the current state of democracy in the U.S. if you take a step back and look at the big picture?
Well, I think we're at code red for democracy, and it's extremely concerning. Not only do we have election deniers running to oversee the election process, the administration of elections, there have been 30 bills passed to suppress the vote in 2021 alone. Over 300 are being considered right now. We're seeing legislation passed to subvert the vote. We're seeing fake audits, insider threats, vitriol to election workers, both Republican and Democrat, to get them to step down, and then extremists like Steve Bannon recruiting election deniers into those posts. So 2022 is crucial. We need to make sure that the great experiment of democracy continues. And at the Democratic Association of Secretaries of State, we're working overtime to win these races and to make sure American voters, regardless of their zip code, color of their skin, or the amount of money in their bank account, can make their voices heard and their votes count in free and fair elections.
And it seems to be beyond politics. You've stacked up some of it, but if conspiracy theorists and supporters of the big lie do have success in the upcoming elections, specifically in those roles of Secretary of State, how would they be able to use their power to reshape future elections moving forward?
Well, I think we would see more lies and disinformation, which gets at confidence. Further destabilization of actual election infrastructure, including failure to take care of insider threats and protect election workers. So, for example, I'm running legislation to protect election workers here in Colorado. And ultimately, if there's another January 6th, we need our nation's secretaries of state, our nation's chief election officers to tell the truth. And what I think we are seeing is the focus by President Trump and Steve Bannon and folks from that camp to take these positions so that the next January 6th is easier to accomplish. So a very sad time and scary time for American democracy, but viewers can save democracy along with us, and that's by supporting candidates who will uphold their vote, regardless if they're Republican or Democrat, and do their duty as election administrators in the United States of America.
All right, Secretary Griswold of Colorado, thank you for your time. Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you so much.
We should note that CBS News has reached out to Tina Peters and her team for comment. We have not received a response to that request. We will keep you posted.